Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to also share, like, and comment.
Partners, Transparency International, I would have mentioned that globally, but I want to single out also the Transparency International, civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, media, ladies and gentlemen. A lot has been said already by competent colleagues, but I will add certain things, context, maybe emphasis. But let me start my contribution today by expressing how delighted I am to officiate at this important occasion. The fight against corruption policy rejig or reinforcement is very important to our fight against corruption because it starts there. And under the policy, when the policy is clear, it lacks ambiguity, when the policy is directional, it helps in the implementation process. It also identifies, itemizes, and obligates various institutions of a multiple nature to perform their duties because it is clear to them that is their line of responsibility. So this is a very important day. I'm happy that we are all here, and those that are here are well represented. And through the media, the nation and the global community will get a message of what we in Zambia are saying on this negative vice, this destructive vice of corruption. Doesn't matter what flowery words we use around it. From where I was raised, we don't distinguish between the corrupt and the thieves. They are one and the same. They take what doesn't belong to them and somehow confers ownership of those assets unto themselves when they know clearly this is not theirs. They've never worked for it. That's what we're doing today. And various speakers have spoken about the importance of today. I'm just bringing a different angle, but emphasizing the same issue. It starts from the clarity in the policy. Policy must be succinct, must be clear, must be holistic. Because this fight can never be waged by a single institution. Never. Then you never succeed. So I'm very delighted, as you are, to be present here today for this significant exercise to all our endeavors in our country. Let me restate government's commitment to the fight against corruption. I do scan social media. I do listen to news because I would like to have the pulse of the nation in front of me. And there are some who believe that the fight against corruption is waning. You're wrong. You're completely wrong. We inherited a difficult institution a difficult country, where institutions were broken down. Basically, even professionalism in these institutions was thrown out from all exit points. The door the window, even the air louvers. I'm serious. Because I'm now seeing the extent of the damage and why things were happening the way they were happening. Because institutions that were charged with the responsibility to fight corruption got decapitated. So one needs to re-look at the whole framework, the whole environment, and say, where do you start from here? And that's what we're doing today. The work that went on after recognition of the depth of the problem, that to continue fighting without getting the policy, getting the framework, getting, if you like, the anchors reinstituted was difficult, and it slowed down the process. Would you be surprised why cases were taken? Let me give you an example. One case of corruption was started during the late President Mwanawasa, and it was only concluded a few months ago. Now, how can you fight corruption in that environment? If I may ask. No matter how clever you think you are, the whole system, the wheels were slowed down deliberately, intentionally. And the corrupt began to believe that even under this government, the cases will take over 20 years. And those who believe in the fight against corruption will be gone, long gone. So we had to look carefully. How do we redress this situation? How do we bring back the fight against corruption to the rails? This is part of it, what we're doing today. So I want to thank all that were involved in bringing us to this launch of the refreshed policy on the fight against corruption. I would like Zambians to apply their minds to a situation I described earlier. If you were to handle 100 cases, when would you conclude those cases? If you drew a line and it's sequential, how long would that line in terms of years? By the time you have concluded the cases, what value do you get? Yes, somebody. Only that tiny bit. So, let me indicate here that we had to make changes. The police is one area. We had to make changes to pieces of legislation. After benchmarking, of course, learning from other countries, today I can tell you, when I visited President Lorenzo in Angola for something else, and we got to talk about corruption there. And he says, HH, my young brother said, yes, Mr. President, you want to fight corruption? He said, a few things you need to learn from us in Angola. One, he said, don't assume that those that are charged with the fight against corruption are committed to the fight. Some of them take those as just mere jobs for a salary. Really? I can work for an institution and I'm not committed to the deals of that institution? He says, yes. That's what I found out myself. When I first took office, it's him talking now, it took me 3 years to figure it out because there was no progress we were making. So why was it taking 3 years? He was asking. And I kept on hammering. And he's a military man, right? He says, no, there are issues here. So he says, there are certain laws that will not allow you to do your job properly. Look at those issues. There are certain institutions that mutated over years. I will not give further details, but he gave me a tip. After he gave me those tips, I asked him a question. How much have you recovered? He says, now we are sitting at $25 billion. after changing certain laws, after changing certain individuals in institutions, we also decided that asset recovery is important. And he explained to me. And he said for him, it was doing that against his own political party, against colleagues in cabinet, against those who nominated him to become the president. He says, your job is easier than mine.
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to JCOO.
These institutions, when I returned, I make notes myself in meetings, physical or mental. Then in the night, I pull them together. It's a habit. I called my teams here, I said, let's benchmark. You guys need to go to Angola. And they went to Angola. Not once. They're here. They're seated here. They went to Angola. Yes, they're here. And I said, go and check for 1, 2, 3, 4 things. They came back, briefed me. I said, no, I don't think you were attentive there. Go back. They went back. And when they came back, I said, so now, what do you think we should do? We should be doing? One of it was the police. Another area was the legal issues. And I said, you, the lawyers, itemize the laws we need to change. Another was the institutional aspects, including bringing multidisciplinary skills institutions together. And I'll comment about this because this is very fundamental. I said, good. I said, talk to the EU, talk to the British, talk to the Germans. I know the chairman of the Chandler Foundation is not aware that I knew about this institution in my difficult years in opposition, the Chandler Foundation. And I whispered to somebody, please get in touch with the Chandler Foundation. Their approach to open government is very important. Today, Mr. Chairman, go back to the institution and ask your members, how did HH, is it true that HH knew about the Chandler Foundation? Someone whispered to you, yes. But they couldn't say so because if they said so in those days, they will be ostracized. But once we formed government, I remembered. And I said, let's reach out to those. And I'm very delighted that today they are part of this package of partners. Now, do you really think that a head of state who is not committed to the fight against corruption would take those steps? Do you really think so? We are very committed to the fight against corruption. The difficulties we've had is how to get a job done professionally, quickly, and effectively. And this policy is part of the jigsaw puzzle to assist us. So the storytelling goes, my colleagues isolated the piece of legislation which some of the speakers have highlighted, including, I think, the chairman, ambassador. And we went ahead to change those pieces of legislation. We also went ahead and created the Financial and Economic Crimes Court. We went ahead to pass other pieces of legislation and regulations to allow us to prosecute corruption much faster, having been amazed that since President Mwanawasa died in 2008, one case was only concluded months ago. How could you fight corruption in that environment? You embode the corrupt. Absolutely. That statement, Minister of Justice, you indicated my first address to Parliament when we were elected into office. I was addressing Parliament and colleagues were giggling there that, this one, he comes from the private sector, he doesn't know how public sector works, he will get nowhere. We are getting somewhere. There's no question about it. We're getting somewhere. But we needed to understand what was standing in our way. What we've done can be commended. And you see that in our ratings. Already my colleagues have spoken about it. Transparency International ranking. And when the rankings came out, colleagues in this hall, who was shouting that this was doctored? It was some of the corrupt. And this is the first time the country made a positive movement in 10 years. Did it come by chance? No. It is these things that we're saying we had to do, knowing that without doing the things that we did behind the scenes, we stood no chance in hell to achieve anything. You want to do benchmarking? Do it. Look at the fight against corruption when it was real under President Manawas. 8 years, look at how much money was recovered. Look at how much money we've recovered in 2.5 years. There in 8 years, here in 2.5 years. The numbers will tell you something. Really? Is that what you call doing nothing? We know that this is a difficult job. We know that we'll lose friends along the way. We know that we will be politically abused. We know that the corrupt fight back. And they will even dose in ethnicity in the fight against corruption. Yesterday I was having a meeting with the chiefs, House of Chiefs. 5 from each of our 10 provinces, 50 of them. The house was full. And I raised this issue where when you pursue the corrupt, they now bring either a political angle to issue or an ethnic angle. They find somewhere to hide. And I asked the chiefs, why do you entertain those meetings when we, your subjects, your tribesmen, come to you to say, I'm being victimized, this fight against corruption is targeting me? I said, ask them one question. My son, my daughter, is there something you took which is not yours? Tell me in confidence so I can help you. Most likely, that daughter, that son of yours will say, let's meet tomorrow or next week. I'm in a hurry. These people are pursuing me. Because they took something which is not theirs, which belongs to a child who is sitting on the floor in a classroom without a desk. And when we want to recover that money, to buy a desk for that kid, it becomes an ethnic issue. The corrupt fight back. It's up to us to understand. Otherwise, we'll start now messing up the whole fight against corruption. Before I took public office, I have one nephew who was stealing cattle from the community. And I called him and I said, you, don't take what is not yours. Here is 10 heifers. Here is 1 bull. Go and look after this. Don't steal ever again. 6 months later, he was stealing. I got him arrested and jailed. He's still in jail today. It's not a joke. You have to be committed. You have to have principles. You have to be genuinely principled when you engage in a fight against corruption. At all levels. Ministers, permanent secretaries, controlling officers, procurement officers. At that point, you think you are alone, but what you do negatively damages a woman who is delivering a premature child and the child needs an incubator, and there's no incubator, you've stolen the incubator, that child dies. So you're a murderer. You are a murderer. But you want to describe that action as different from murdering somebody. You have murdered that child, that citizen. You have to have that in your mind. Otherwise, anything else you do will be a facade, will be camouflage. Let me stay.
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to JCOO.
With the fact that corruption is complicated. We have done things in 2 years and some months. We can do more ourselves, but with our cooperating partners as well. We lack completeness. We accept. Now let me address the cooperating partners. I do hear certain things you say in certain areas. We appreciate the work you're doing. Civil society, church-based organizations, we do hear what you say. We prefer to sit the way we are sitting or behind the doors to say, look, government, you are failing here and there and there. We can help here and there and there. That's our preference. The commitment is not the issue. The issue is the capacity. So if you have the capacity, you have the experience, you have the institutions. Thank you to the British for the asset recovery institution. And condolences to the loss of our leader in the asset recovery unit. Please pass our message of condolences. So we invite all of us to be a team to do what many governments fail to do on this continent. This government will not accept failure in the fight against corruption, but we need the support of everybody. Absolutely. Let me touch on something based on my sins of the past. I'm also looking at let's say public involvement, which has been articulated well. Public means everybody, individuals, households. You followed this play here. A lot of lessons, real life lessons here. I'm just embarrassing that they exposed my private skills, which are not for the public. But the underlying message in the play is fundamental. So when the public report, the whistleblower system is fantastic. When the public report a case, the public are not professionals many times. A community member reports suspected corruption. Somebody is keeping in a yard which is disused, is locked, 100 vehicles there. Why would you trade in vehicles you're not selling? You're just parking them there, and there are 100 of them, and the grass is growing around. The member of the public, the whistleblower who should be protected, reports is not a professional person. They've done their job. What should follow is that now the professionals must do their work diligently with that tip. Protect the whistleblower, but then do the professional investigations. Here's the point I want to drive. Skills. Don't take that matter to court in a haphazard manner. Do the necessary work. Investigations. You cannot investigate certain crimes alone because you lack in certain skills. You present a case to a judge in court which is not properly presented, you lose that case, even if somebody stole. Isn't it? So we now need to acknowledge that the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Drug Enforcement Commission, and the FIC and many other institutions do not have all the skills in-house. They must reach out. And that's another approach we're pushing, multidisciplinary approach and institutions in fighting against corruption. Each party brings their specialist skills to the table. I was telling you, for my sins of the past, you cannot investigate a financial crime without getting somebody with financial skills, auditing skills to work with you. Because when you put that file before the judge, you will just confuse the judge. And if the judge is confused as a human being, he will simply dismiss the matter. So make sure you work with the Auditor General and Corruption Commission. Make sure you work with the ZRA. They have specialists in there. Make sure you work with others inside the country, with the civil society, with the church, when it's necessary. With partners. We cross the boundaries. Today's days of technology. You don't need to travel all the time. Once we have cooperating agreements, we can actually access the skills from there, the databases from there. And our chances of winning the case is high. Why would you take the matter to court, which is just formality? Why formality? Take a matter to court because you know you're going to win. And it will improve the integrity, the credibility of the fight against corruption. You heard me. So we have a duty, all of us. Your case officer has no accounting training. How do you think they can handle a complicated financial transaction? I don't want to bore the public. I'm aware of transactions we inherited, which were clearly white-collar crime, where the Minister of Justice, Attorney General's chambers are involved, where the Minister of Finance are involved, where a line ministry is involved, including the seconded lawyers at the line ministry. Horrible situation. They're all involved. They draft a contract like a normal contract, but actually they're designing it to steal money from the public. Let me give you an example. A contract is designed to build something by a line ministry, which is in need. Then it uses the legal person seconded from the Attorney General's chambers. Then it goes to the Attorney General for approval. And that draft goes to a friend inside the Attorney General. Then Treasury. And in that contract are clauses that talks about advance payment. Government must make advance payment for a contractor to provide a service or a product. And when the down payment is not made of, say, 20, 30%, they embed a clause there that says government will pay penalties for failing to pay their deposit, the advance payment. So government is penalized for not paying its own money. The contractor has not even taken a business risk. Those contracts exist. Now, if you don't bring multiple skills to a case like that, you will never win that case. Because the contract is genuine. And it's signed. I hope I've made my point. We don't want things like that going forward. Are you surprised that we got into a debt crisis from 2011 to 2021? We got into a vicious, dilapidating debt in just a 10-year period. Are you surprised? We have a lot of work ahead of us. The little we have done, we can do more. We need help. This government needs help, needs support. We don't need sympathy. We need help. We need support. We need a collegiate partnership, multidisciplinary, crossing boundaries of our geography. I'm talking of nation. We're one global community If the corrupt thrive in Zambia, they collect enough money to even cross boundaries to inject those habits in another country.
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to J. Cool.
Then we begin to have instability in our own countries. Democracies will be fragile. The rule of law will be damaged. The corrupt even get songs by musicians composed for them that they are great men and women. Then you look at their business track record. They've never done a formal business. But they are cherished by the community. At least Robin Hood was stealing from the rich to take to the poor. In our case, the rich are stealing from the poor to impoverish a school-going child. Those things are immoral in the African culture. And before you colonialists came, sorry, British High Commission, in our African societies, people used to be banished from that community and sent to forests where lions are dominant. And after a week, the messengers will be sent, go and see if there is a skull there. And the body is gone. That's how the African societies used to exorcise those who were stealing from society. But we adopted your laws and civility. We think we were actually civilized in our own way. So I'm saying that corruption has never been accepted in the African culture. That's the message I'm giving you. So let's work together. If we allow corruption to prevail here, it will extend to other societies. Let me also comment on the private sector. I come from there. If and when the private sector abhors corruption, it will be difficult for the public sector to find partners to work in the tandem of corruption. So even the private sector is indicted here. Honestly. So in the case I gave you, who was the contractor? Private sector. But colluded with justice, colluded with finance, colluded with line ministries, you have no chance in hell when a situation like that obtains. And worse still, when you pursue them, they run to their chief. Mommy, speak for me. So yesterday I said to the chiefs, ask your children to say, did you share with me what you took? Did you share with me or any of your tribesmen or women? Let's be serious, fellow citizens. Let's protect public assets. I wish to close by saying we have no choice in the fight against corruption. We don't have the choice at all. If we agree that we need to expand this economy, we need to create jobs, we need to provide health services that are meaningful to the community, we need to provide water. We have a drought now, we have a disaster and emergency. Can we allow someone taking away money we need to buy food for someone in the 84 districts which are afflicted by the worst drought in memory? We shouldn't. We need agriculture irrigation agriculture rather. We need to water harvest. And someone is taking away money meant to water harvest so we can irrigate, so we can have food security. And you sit in a community, you know that person, and you sing songs for them. You even compose songs for them. Colleagues, we should be committed to the fight against corruption at the individual level, at the family level. Like this play, you saw this play. Husband and wife, and the wife is not happy with what the husband is doing. That's the only way we'll defeat corruption. The wife reports to the in-law. The in-law comes to help solve a problem, to amplify that you are damaging yourself and society. Colleagues, personally, I'm delighted that in the 2 years and some months we've been in office, we are now able to employ a nurse, a teacher from any part of the country without that kid knowing anyone in cabinet, and they are employed. This wasn't the case 3 years ago. You never saw adverts for nurses, for teachers in the newspaper. But people were being employed. Small numbers, yes. But today, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, when you employ, we are insisting you employ from every eligible Zambian. The limitation is the number you are employing at a particular time. But no child should pay something to somebody. And I want to appeal openly here. Any time the public is employing people, if someone is asking you to pay something for you to be considered, report them to the police, to the Anti-Corruption Commission. Report. You have a whistleblower's number now? Anonymous number? Let's spread that number. Let's run it every news time. Let's run it at the bottom there. It starts there. Pay somebody in government to give my wife a job. My daughter a job when she stole nursing qualifications and she can't insert a cannula to a patient. That's what this play was all about. And that patient will die. Ndiwe wapaya muntu uchi. These are the consequences. Colleagues, at all levels, public sector, private sector, we must be committed to the fight against corruption. We don't have to amplify the ills. We know the ills, the damage that it does to society. And Anti-Corruption Commission, oversight institutions, test of the pudding is in the eating. Let us work on a matrix of implementation measures from this policy. Specific actions, who is responsible, who you're going to collaborate with, skills sets brought to the table. You can't learn accounting when you never sat in an accounting school. You may know a little bit of bookkeeping, so you need to go to an accountant to get you to help you to look at a financial crime. Let's be committed as families, as institutions. We are all policemen in the fight against corruption. And partners, thank you very much for your support. We are asking for more. We are asking for more practical ways. I heard what is being said. Some of us in this country say asset recovery is not necessary, it's not good enough. Others saying it's good enough. Others say, no, what is good is to prosecute and lock up people. That is good. What you are all saying is good. We need a combination of asset forfeiture done properly, not abuse. We need judiciary to jail people appropriately. If someone stole $10 million, you prosecute them, you convict them, then you pronounce the sentence and it's 3 years. Someone took $10 million. My guy who steals one steer goes in for 14 years. My steer, one steer, I raise good steers myself, is worth 20,000 kwacha. He goes in for 14 years. The guy who took $10 million goes in for 3 years. What do you think society is saying? What do you think society will be saying? That if you are a richer man, the law is soft towards you. That's what the ordinary member of society will be saying. And worse still, you go in, you send someone in for 3 years, again, that person is entitled to remission of 50%. Am I right? 1/3. So those guys may only serve for 2 years. And after 2 years, they're out. Then they paid legal fees. Yes, they lost, but they paid $1 million. Then they're left with $9 million. You think they'll stop stealing? Now they'll buy judges, because they have a capacity. I think we need to address those issues. So what am I saying? We need to take away the $10 million, take away from them, restore it to the state, so we can buy desks, medicines, we can invest in irrigation agriculture, but also jail them. Not for 3 years.
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to JQ.
Maybe for 14 years. But the discretion of 3 years or 14 years is up to one person called a judge. So we make the appeal also to the bench to assist us in this fight, to give appropriate sentences. Then we'll have clipped corruption. Then it will become a frightening proposition to steal from the people. I want to give a caution that the fight against corruption should not kill enterprise, business, legal business, hard work, because that's what we've tried to do in this country, to club the two together. No, we need economic expansion, we need growth, we need investment, we need business, legal business, entrepreneurship, so we can grow the economy, so we can look after the weak, the sick, the old, the differently abled, the retired. Simple. I think I've told the story. I wanted to tell it in a simpler way, rather than reading a speech. Maybe it's easier to talk to each other this way. But thank you to everybody for your work and the work ahead of us. I thank you in advance. Don't be afraid. A lot of people live with fear. If you're doing the right thing, don't be afraid. Me, I went to jail. I was on the death row, 6 of us. And my guys, when they opened the cells for us, after 16 hours of being locked in there, sleeping on the floor, no blanket, right? No ventilation. Human body is strong. They give us 2 or so hours of sunlight, and these guys are looking down. Say, you're a man, why are you looking down? Did you commit treason? Says, no. So why are you looking so low? Come on, we'll come out of here. We never committed a crime. So if you are prosecuted, you never committed a crime, you should be proud. Your head must be looking up, because you know you'll be found innocent. Isn't it? So people don't live with fear. Fear is in itself a disease. So institutions, don't be afraid. If you don't want to do this job, don't accept the appointment to be Director General of the Anti-Corruption Commission. Go back to your legal profession. I'm not joking. It is my honor to declare this policy officially launched. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. President. You may be seated. Having heard that the policy is officially launched, we'll have a ceremonial launch, and we will have the policy brought in symbolically. And at that time, I'll invite His Excellency the President and the top dignitaries to please descend to receive that, after which we will then run through the closing process for this ceremony. If we could have the policy brought in at this time, please. While the policy is being brought in, it will allow me to utilize this time to just highlight that to our distinguished invited guests, you are cordially invited to enjoy lunch with us. And for the VIPs, this will be in the holding room. And for all other distinguished guests, this will be upstairs on the first floor. Coupons will be provided at the exit at the close of this ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. A warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I believe the ribbon is being cut as we speak. Being cut by His Excellency the President, cooperating partners, and other key stakeholders at the front. At this time, may I ask that we please rise as we will be concluding with the closing prayer that will be offered up by Major Mbuzi, followed by the national anthem, after which His Excellency the President, the top table, the cabinet ministers, cooperating partners and senior government officials will proceed out of the auditorium for a photo session that will mark the conclusion of this event. My name is Kamisa Chikula. It's been an honor and a privilege being your master of ceremony this morning and afternoon. I trust.
What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to J Cool.
Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, J Cool, and turn on the notification bell, cause I'm gonna see you in the next video.